Organic chemistry is definitely the most interesting but also the most criticized part of chemistry, which people tend to not understand as much. But once you get into it, it actually turns out to be the best part of chemistry. In this video, I'm not going to teach you organic chemistry, but I'll be telling you stuff you can keep in your mind before you get started with this vast subject. Firstly, I'm going to divide my audience base into two parts. Number one, beginners or people who've just entered 11th and they're going to start organic chemistry very soon. And number two, people who are already in the midst of 12th or in between NEET prep but aren't really sure on how to go about with this subject. So let's get started with the first group. Now, if you are someone who's just being introduced to organic chemistry, the first thing you have to keep in mind, this is coming out from my own mistakes, is paying attention to the first chapter, that is the basic principles of organic chemistry. And I will tell you why. Basically, being perfect in these first two chapters is going to make your journey of organic chemistry so smooth that you cannot imagine. The first chapter contains all the basic concepts that you need for reasoning out many things that are going to get complex in the future. In these chapters, you have basic nomenclature, you have hyperconjugation, inductive effect, and resonance, and so many other things that you need to be perfect on in order to make your journey easier in organic chemistry. Here's a small story time. So basically, I wasn't really attentive in 11th grade with organic chemistry. And when they started haloalkanes in 12th grade, I was clueless because I did not know why stuff was happening, because I did not know the reasoning, because I did not know the concept of so many things which I should have. So that's when in 12th grade, I went back to 11th grade concepts, learned each and everything properly so that I can understand haloalkanes, and from then on, my journey had been very smooth. I'll give you a small example on how you're supposed to understand these concepts. So let's talk about a pretty basic concept, that is hyperconjugation, right? So now hyperconjugation, I'm sure all of you have read it in the NCERT textbook, but how are you actually supposed to understand this concept properly? Okay, so you know that there is a specific order for a stability of a carbocation, okay? And this order is directly from NCERT. But have you ever put in thought on why is this order so? Why is a tertiary carbocation more stable than a secondary or a primary one? We're going to go behind this. Let us first understand what a carbocation is. So you know that carbon has 4 valences, but in a carbocation, one of this valency is not finished or complete, and hence it has a positive charge on it. And when it has a positive charge, it is obviously stabilized by an influx of electron, which reduces the positive charge on it, hence stabilizing it. Now, the second thing we have to keep in mind is that methyl group is weakly electron donating. This is a concept that is taught right before hyperconjugation in the basic concepts of organic chemistry. So, the more the CH3 groups attach to carbocation, the more it gets stabilized due to pumping of electrons by CH3 group. And now, the more hydrogen atoms attached to the carbon which is attached to the carbocation, the more is the hyperconjugation. And the more is hyperconjugation, greater is the stability of the carbocation. And we are going to learn how exactly is more hydrogen helping in more hyperconjugation and more stability. So first, let us draw a spatial orientation of a carbocation molecule in which the carbon which has the positive charge, its empty p orbital is in the same plane as one of the hydrogen bonds of the other attached carbon. So this is how the basic figure looks. You can see that both these bonds are on the same plane. And now what happens is, you know that there are electrons present in between the covalent bond between the carbon and hydrogen in this particular molecule. And now these electrons are easily delocalized within the volume of the same molecule. Hence, they move to the empty p orbital of the carbocation, which automatically reduces the positive charge on the carbocation and hence stabilizes it. Okay, now if you have to visualize it in this way, just imagine that the hydrogen bond in this has broken because the electrons present in between the carbon hydrogen bond have now passed on to the empty p orbital of the carbocation, and now there is a double bond between the two carbons and the hydrogen ion is free. So this is the mechanism in which hyperconjugation takes place. Now you know why I say that the more hydrogen atoms attached to the carbon attached to the carbocation, the more is the stability of the carbocation, because the more the hydrogen, more hydrogens are able to participate in the process of hyperconjugation, hence stabilizing the positive charge on the carbocation. And that basically sums up the process, and this is how you're supposed to learn each and every concept of basic organic chemistry. Now that you've understood why this process takes place, hyperconjugation can be used as an application in order to understand rearrangement reactions, reaction mechanisms, how certain products are formed in certain reactions, etc. So it is very, very important that you're thorough with each and every concept. For this, you can watch YouTube videos. The thing that helped me get through was Organic Chemistry Tutor. I'm just going to link it below. Now let's come to the second group of students. Now you guys have probably mastered these concepts. If you haven't yet, then go back and do so. And now you're into the major part of organic chemistry, which involves reactions, different kinds of functional groups, etc., haloalkanes, alcohols, aldehydes, and it gets too much. So at this time, I'm going to get you a few tips that'll help you get through it. Now, I maintained 3 notebooks for organic chemistry. Number 1 was where I made reaction maps. Now, reaction maps are basically something that look like this. So in reaction maps, there is one single reactant which reacts with different catalysts and different other reactants in order to give different products. So what happens is, in organic chemistry, you're gonna come across so many reactions, it's going to be hard to keep a tab on what is reacting to give what. So when you group it into one single reactant giving different products, it becomes way, way more easier. So there was one book where I wrote my own reactions, because when you write it on your own, you're bound to remember it even well than when you copy it. So you just look at the reaction from the book, you try to memorize it, you try to figure it out how it is, kya hota hai usme, and then you just make your reaction map over there on your own by using your own memory. And if you want to correct something, you can correct it later. But it's important that you write these reactions for you to remember them. The second book I made was for reaction mechanisms. I'll tell you why reaction mechanisms are important. So in competitive exams, you might come across so many questions where they give you a reactant and they give you something to react with it and they ask you what the product is. Now usually, if it's a reaction that you already know, you can figure out what the product is. But when you do not know what the reaction is, it is important that you know how the reaction mechanism goes so that you can figure out the product on your own. So what I did was, for each and every reaction that I learned in organic chemistry, I noted down the reaction mechanism as my teacher taught me, and I tried to do the entire reaction mechanism at home on my own just to practice it, so that whenever I come across a question in the paper that I do not know how to go about, I just think about the kind of reaction mechanisms that can be used and try to figure out something from there. So it really makes stuff easier and you feel really good when you actually understand something, right? Now the third note I had for organic chemistry was for all the stuff that I had to remember, that matlab jisko ratta marna hai. For example, Bayer's reagents, different reagents, what their kind of reaction will be, or the different functional groups, nomenclature, or probably the uses of certain organic compounds. All of these I noted down in a separate book because these were the ones that I didn't have to learn, but I had to memorize. So these are the 3 books that I use for organic chemistry, which helped me organize my entire process of organic chemistry really well. While talking about organic chemistry, it's also important to talk about competitive exams. Now in these exams, there is definitely some stuff that is asked out of NCERT. Probably about 5 to 10% of your competitive exam papers are out of NCERT. So what I suggest is getting thorough with all the reactions and concepts of NCERT first. And once you're thorough with that, you're almost able to answer any kind of questions in competitive exams, but you might need a certain extra knowledge in order to answer all questions, which you do not really have to force upon yourself. Focus on finishing NCERT first and then move on to the extra concepts because they're extra for a reason, right? My last and final suggestion for all you exam givers is to figure out the answer on your own. So you might come across certain questions, they can be subjective or objective, which you have no idea about. So at that point, what a student usually tends to do is go back and look at the answer key and just, memorize whatever the answer is. But what you're supposed to do in order for you to recollect it for a large amount of time is, first of all, try your best to figure out the answer on your own and then go to the answer key. And even if you check the answer key, then make sure you try to think about why is the answer that. मतलब अगर आंसर में ये प्रोडक्ट है, then you have to redo the entire reaction mechanism in your head or on a paper and figure out why is that product being formed. And when you do that, it's going to stay in your memory for so long because you figured it out on your own and you don't really have to read it again and again. Mistakes are your best teacher. I'm going to repeat it again and again. Mistakes are your best teacher. Well, that was my simple guide into getting started with organic chemistry. And yeah, it was a pretty unusual video because I usually tend to do biology videos. But yeah, I did it because I really wanted to. And anyways, so thank you so much for watching. Let me know any video suggestions that you have. I will be posting, I'll try to post every once a week. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.